and welcome to Beware Spoilers. I am Adam. The music in front of the episode usually means it's a video game episode, as long as I remember. We have the video game theme music. Said I was going to talk about Stargirl, but I started Season 3, and then the app crashed on me, and the app has stopped working since. The CW app, that is. And for whatever reason, I think I've talked about it before, where it's like we now live in this hell of, I talked about it with the Rick and Morty premiere. We live in this hell of, everything is kind of, everything has its own streaming app. Because we all want convenience and we want the ease of being able to watch whatever we want, whenever we want, on demand. So what we end up with as a result is, Paramount has their own streaming app, and HBO has their own streaming app, and Netflix exists, and Disney has their own app, and it's Disney Plus Day, so strap in for that. Talk about Pinocchio probably Saturday. Tonight I'm going to watch She-Hulk. I gotta work on my schedule, figure out what the hell I'm gonna do. It's a very busy time. The point I'm trying to make is, there is no reason why, in this day and age, they don't get integrated into, what was that other channel? Hulu, for new content. Why you have to go and download the Adult Swim app to watch Rick and Morty. Why I have to download the CW app to watch CW shows and certain back catalog shows that may or may not have been CW, but they now own the syndication rights to, I guess, and they're now sitting in CW's back catalog. But either way, I'm looking at this and I'm like, why is this the hell we've chosen to live in? So, because the app crashed and the app won't work. Also, as a result, they don't keep the, like there is no on-demand option, so I can't even go to a cable provider and look at it that way. It's like, well, fuck. I'm just SOL. So, yeah, here we are. So we're going to talk about Disney Dreamlight Valley, the latest. I mean, this is going to be a first impressions episode, because I've really only had, 4 hours to play the game. And I'm not terribly deep into it. So I'm going to do a first impressions episode, and then I'm going to do another one maybe early next week, talking about the game a little deeper. So Disney Dreamlight Valley feels like the game that, in a way, it feels like a spiritual successor to Disneyland Adventures, which, if you have, If you have Game Pass, I believe it's still on Game Pass, but the general thing with that game was you are in Disneyland, and you can play through mini games based on the rides, and you collect stuff. You collect autographs. It's kind of like if you can't afford the trip to Disneyland and you want to try Disneyland, this will give you the opportunity to try Disneyland without worrying about having to spend a good amount of money to make that trip. So that's all, well and good, and I understand what they're going for. But I think it is interesting that this game is what it is. I don't know necessarily if what's the word I'm looking for here? I don't know necessarily if I don't know if the game's not particularly deep from what I've found so far. I understand what it's meant to be. It's meant to be a Animal Crossing game reskinned with Disney characters. I totally understand that. Because it feels very similar to Animal Crossing, where it's like you're in Dreamlight Valley and you have to restore the initial conceit is very similar to Stardew Valley, where it's like you're leaving the city and you're going to this place, and you go there and you have this place that you have to take care of, and it's like, alright, I get what you're going for, I totally understand it. It doesn't mean it's good, but I understand what you're going for. And there's a lot of customization options and stuff like that. I just feel like the game's a little, I don't know, I mean, I think the problem is, had this came out before New Horizons, I would enjoy this game more. Because I think inherently the problem is, New Horizons is still relatively new. It's only 2 years old, and a lot of people do still play New Horizons. And New Horizons, I'm talking about Animal Crossing New Horizons. And, I mean, when we talk about attachment rates for consoles, like, that fueled Switch sales at the beginning of the pandemic in a way that I don't think a lot of people were expecting. So, we have this game that's, kind of set the world on fire, and it's like, alright, let's do a Disney version of it. But at the same time, it's like, well, nothing really is too different about Dreamlight Valley compared to New Horizons. It plays very similar. The only difference is there are Disney characters, and it's a little cheaper. But at this point, if you don't have Animal Crossing and you have a Switch, you probably don't want to play Animal Crossing. Like, that style of game doesn't appeal to you. And I think the only appeal this game would really have is people who play on PC, who want to play Animal Crossing, which I think is a very small subset of the population. People who play on, I think it came for PS4 and Xbox One as well, but people who want to play on those consoles and want to play Animal Crossing. But again, if someone really wants to play Animal Crossing, they'll get the Switch. And I think that what we've seen, kind of, is that kind of thing happen. Where it's like people who would not have ordinarily gone out and bought a Switch, went out and bought a Switch for the, because they got, because they want an Animal Crossing. And I think that that's part of what's, going on here. Like, people who never really went into playing video games particularly deeply got into Animal Crossing in a big way. Like, my sister played video games a little bit, not to a degree that is, not to a tremendous degree, but she played Animal Crossing. And I feel like this is the kind of thing that, had this come out in a different time, before New Horizons, it really would have picked up and done well. But I feel like it is not great. The other problem is, I feel like a lot of the systems in the game are not particularly deep, and there's not a lot to them, and they get repetitive, and the amount of energy you have is severely limiting. And it's not limiting in so much as you have the energy, and then you go, and that's all the energy you have, and you have to stop for the day. It is, you have the energy, but you have to go back to your house, and it's like, well, if I'm, like, with missions that are like, mine gems and get gems and sell them, which is one of the missions early on, where you have to go, you have to mine and sell, I think it's like 7 gems at Goofy's stall. It is just kind of taxing to have to mine from these rock ores that are scattered all over the map, find them, hit them 5 times, and hope they drop a gem. If they don't drop a gem, you gotta go on to the next one. But unlike clearing the thorns that look very much like Maleficent's thorns, unlike that, it takes a lot more energy to actually mine, and it is a lengthy process. I think the other thing that's kind of lengthy is the process by which you gain Stardust, or dream something, whatever the fuck that's, dream dust, dream star. I feel like I'm having a stroke. The currency that unlocks more areas of the game, the amount of time that goes into collecting this stuff creates an artificial length to the game that's kind of annoying. Where it's like, because you get that from completing these missions, like catching fish, or mining different gems, or cooking, or doing all this other stuff. And it's like, I understand what you're trying to do. You kind of want to railroad people into needing to use all of the aspects of the game. You don't want people to do just, to do just the one thing they want to do. You kind of want to force them to do everything. That said, it is time-consuming. And then I'm up to one mission where it's like Merlin wants you to become, level 5 friends with 3 people who live there, and I'm like, holy shit, like, that is time-consuming. Because you gotta find them gifts, and you have to give them gifts, and it's just like, what the fuck? What else was there that was worth addressing? There was I feel like there was definitely more that I was like, I want to talk about this. Yeah, I mean, a lot of things are kind of like half explained to you, and not in a way that is helpful. Like, if you're going to tutorialize a game, I would say you should work the tutorial in and not put the tutorial in at the tail end of a cutscene, with like infographics. I feel like when you do that, you make it so it doesn't hurt. Like, that's one of the things that I always think about, where it's like, if you think back to the old Pokemon games, for example, when you got the running shoes in Ruby and Sapphire, the mom reads the directions on how to use them to you, and she's like, oh, the instructions are so easy. Press the B button to run. And it's like, what? Like, why would that be in the directions in the game? Like, that would be, like, for us. But at the same time, if it's like, your mom gave you new shoes, press B to run, it's like, okay. So, yeah, I don't quite, understand. I mean, I feel like the menu option is better, but a lot of times I'm like, alright, whatever, moving on. And a lot of times you can just figure it out through very basic, problem solving and troubleshooting. What else was there? It takes a long time to get through anything. I think that's my biggest problem with the game, is that I only have Mickey, Goofy, and Merlin, and Wally at this point. Wally being from Wally, and it's a slow-going process to unlock characters and move through the story, because a lot of the story is dependent on you completing the side quests that shouldn't be obligatory unless it is something that is, for... Like, here's the thing. I can understand being like, Goofy wants you to fish this for him. It's like, alright, so I'll go fish for Goofy. I understand that. And I think that works in better. I feel like it's bad design to have you be like, okay, so here is a bunch of pages of side missions that will give you kind of like a bonus, like, how Kingdom Hearts is the bonus level, where it's like defeating bosses, certain bosses increases that bonus level, and that bonus level unlocks different things, different abilities, different, mostly abilities, to keep you scaled, and it's a really inventive system. This has, like, the base currency, which is, like, coins that you use to upgrade houses and stuff, but then there's also, like, dream dust or some bullshit like that you have to use to upgrade everything else, to open up new areas. And the first thing you have to do is just collect 2,000 of it, which is, okay, that's not terribly high, but if you're collecting 2,000 and you're getting it to start in increments of 50, I have not seen it so far in increments more than, in increments more than, 250. And the 250 ones are not easy to get. It's easy to get the 50, where it's like catch 3 fish. But the ones that are higher value, obviously, are not as easy to do. And it's just a slog to get through. The world is cute. I don't like the tying the day-night cycle to your, tying the day-night cycle to your system time. I've never really been a fan of that, because it's like, well, what if I want to play during the day and I'm working during the day, and then it's night when I'm done working, and it's like, oh, so I'm only ever playing in this dreary-ass dour thing, and it's like, well, sucks to suck, but that's the world you live in, because it is the day-night cycle set to your console. So because I'm playing it on PC, it's like, okay, well, it's one of those things where it's like, this game could be, everything about this game basically could have been better implemented, but it's just not. And it's just one of those things where it's like, okay, well, why is it that this is, why is this the way that it is, instead of, it being a more basic, I don't understand. And I feel like a Disney-themed Stardew Valley, which is how I saw one thing describe it, would have been a better option. I'm not saying that, it needed to be, I think the Animal Crossing route is interesting, and I think the Animal Crossing route lends itself more to these characters and this art style. But, at the same time, I think that by the Stardew Valley aspect would give you more to do. If you're looking for an attachment, it's going to give you more if you do, if you do Stardew Valley way, I think. And I think the other thing is that I have a problem with this game is it really lends itself, based on what it is, to be one of those games as a service things that we have now all over the place. Think Fortnite, think Rocket League, think Multiverses, where you're not paying for the game, you're paying for, you buy a battle pass and you get a bunch of cosmetic stuff. And, this would kind of lend itself to that if it had a robust multiplayer option. I haven't encountered that option. I think it is mostly single player, but the game does go online. And just to give you free shit. And it's like, well, there's no online gameplay, so what does it matter? If we're not going to play the game online, then, if you're not going to have the online component, and I understand why they wouldn't want to. The game is probably targeted towards a younger audience, and I don't exactly know how well this would mesh into that unless you're going to visit other people's valleys. But I could see it going either way. I don't know. I just can't figure out the audience this is for, because it's not like Animal Crossing is not for the younger audiences as well. It's not Animal Crossing is very much a all audiences game. Anyone of any age can pick up Animal Crossing, be they 5 years old, be they 50 years old, be they 100 years old. They can pick up that game and have the same level of fun with it, because it's the customization and building your own island and all of that. Maybe they're hoping people will be like, oh, it's Disney themed, so that'll sell. But I don't know if that's the case. I haven't looked at sales numbers, and the game only came out a few days ago, but I would be very surprised if this game sells a lot. It's not like there's been a huge marketing blitz about it either. It is... When I saw the trailer, I described it to... I was talking to Peter about it, and I said, it looks like Animal Crossing... Or he said it, I think, not me. It looks like Animal Crossing for Disney adults, and I'm like, well, yeah, that's probably what it is. The game's not terribly great either. But who knows? Maybe I'll find more and like it more as I play it more, and when I do a full review of it, we'll discuss it then. So like I said, today's Disney Plus Day, so She-Hulk comes out today, Pinocchio comes out today, and we also have the arrival of another episode of Harley Quinn. So, until our next episode, have a great rest of your week.